Hello and welcome to another episode of The Molten Truth. I'm your host, Zoey Michaels. We're here today with an artist that I have yet to meet. I actually just met her today. I guess that's better way of phrasing that. But I'm really impressed by this million book giveaway that's on her website. So before we get any further along, welcome our guest, DC Gomez. And DC, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be on the show. So thank you. I'm looking forward to chatting.
Sounds good. I'm already noticing that either you've got a really interesting board, something about the cat lady, and I don't know if that's because you also enjoy cats or if that's something else behind that.
No, no, no. We definitely need to talk about it. I used to be, I guess, best wise, an undercover cat lady, kind of like the joke that everybody goes about. Most of my books have lots of cats highlighted. I don't know how, because I only had a cat and one. So everybody asked me questions like, so how many cats do you actually have? It's like, just one. But he counted for like 50. So I guess as a result of it, I felt like I had millions of cats in my house. It was just one terror of a little kitten. So yeah, so I happened to have a book called The Cat Lady Special, that is a series. And it's a depressed cat lady turns arms dealer because why not? Somebody has to rule the world. I'm going to might as well be her.
Well, why not?
So
That's cool. Okay, so we're going to talk more about that. Before we get too deep in, just because, as my audience should know from the last couple episodes, we are getting the websites out of the way so that I'm not panicked midway through our episode going, oh, I forgot to mention this. So before we get any deeper, let's tell the audience your website where they can find you and about your work.
So easiest place to find me is DC Gomez, all one word, dash author.com. So it's super easy. You mentioned the website is highlighting my million book giveaway, which is interesting because it's coming to an end in April. So my very first book, which is That's Intern, it's urban fantasy full of quirky characters, a bunch of shenanigans is based on the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. So my goal last April, was to give away a million books of Death's Intern with the concept of what can you add to a narrative of a world that is so insane and so madness. As an author, to me, it's work. Like I do stories, and Liz Gilbert says brain candy. So with that in mind, it is very much how do I give back to a community that I think needs some escape. So this is if your world is full of chaos and confusion, you can pick up this intern from my website or anywhere else, a major store, for free. It's going to be there probably till middle of April. And then it's going back to full price. The good news is if you're hanging out on my website, you can also pick up a copy of The Origins of Constantine because obviously Cat needed to have his own biography. So here we are. So if
Okay.
you pick it up, you get an immersion into my world of like urban fantasy in East Texas and just kind of have a blast.
Okay, so talk to me about East Texas because I think we just hit on some common ground here. So tell me about East Texas.
I am in the border of Texas and Arkansas, so I am technically in Texarkana.
Okay,
So I'm in
sure.
the Texas side. So for anybody who's familiar in Texas, you know it's huge. So when I first started writing, I moved from New England down. So I live really like in the middle of the Bible Belt, which is kind of where my pen name comes from with the whole concept of like what happens in Texarkana. Like most people's like nothing happens in Texarkana. So the current joke in the book is nothing happens in Texarkana until Isis Black moved in and all hell breaks loose in Texarkana. So you have an entire series of what I consider small town shenanigans, which I love. So for anybody who's ever been to the small town, it always feels like nothing happens. So if you ever got to read the Suki books from Charlene Harris, The True Blood, she does small town like nobody else. Like I fell in love with small towns with her because I'm like, seriously, like this girl just sits in the sun and sunbathes. That's it. And then she has like vampires and there's werewolves and all of this stuff, which is why I adore urban fantasy. So East Texas is the setting for this. It's a dual city. So there's one in Arkansas and one in Texarkana, in Texas. And you have a concept of just kind of everyday life mirroring this entire world of the supernatural. When I first started writing the series, which is now getting ready to turn 8 years old, one of the fun things that people said is like, is this my life story? I was like, you do know I write fantasy. Like, what do you mean? They're like, I'm sure there's zombie in Texarkana. I was like, no, there are no zombies in Texarkana. What are you talking about? So our never ending joke, they're like, I've seen those people. I was like, have you? No, really? And everybody's like, is this about your life? I'm like, I don't work for death. This is not a personal biography of my life story. Stop it. So I have had a blast trying to explain to people that I'm like, you know, I write fantasy. Like it's called fantasy. Like, no, I don't work for death. I don't know. I don't have a talking cat. I just have a cat who's crazy. It has become a joke in terms of like how much fun, which kind of makes me feel better that people can relate to these characters enough for them to ask me. I'm like, is this your life story? No, my life is definitely not this exciting. Like I sit on a couch and write and read. Like this is the extent of my world. But here
Exactly.
we are.
Exactly. All the excitement really is what goes on in our head because the life around us needs a little spice.
Thank you. Every once in a while, you can charge it up with something like that. So it has been quite interesting to kind of explain to people. I'm like, no, this is not my life story. Thank you very much. I do live in Texarkana. Like that's the extent of our like connections here. But yeah.
Though I do have to say, I mean, I grew up half in Texas, half in Indiana. So I consider Texas home because I was a teenager, and that's about the time you're really kind of becoming who you're gonna be. So Texas for me is home, and I am from kind of the East Texas area myself. About an hour southeast of Dallas was where
Oh
I
yeah.
was my stomping ground. But yeah, I mean, the best memories in this small, sleepy town. There was still a lot going on. It just wasn't your stuff that you would find in the city.
It's a completely different world that most people like randomly going, what are we doing? And this is happening. So I love it. And anytime I get to highlight it and have some fun with it, it just makes it really fun. Most people are always very surprised that Texarkana is a real town. Like they have done Google searches. I was like, this is real. I'm like, yes, once again, I do urban fantasy. Like 90% of these buildings have real. Like I have a couple that didn't quite fit what I needed, so had to be made up. The location where they could be is there, but the buildings themselves may be a little bit changed. But overall, it's just fun to write about things that people can see and Google and connect. And just kind of putting question marks in your head of what if this actually happened? It's like, what if?
True. Well, I mean, that's the whole basis of fiction and fantasy, taking something from the real world, imagining it differently, repackaging it, twisting it a little bit, again, adding a little spice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a recipe for a book or a
All the
movie
time.
or whatever.
Yes.
So, what do you most enjoy? Because I mean, you came from, was it New York, or where did you come from that you moved to? Oh, did I miss
So
it?
Massachusetts. No.
Massachusetts. Okay.
I'm literally from Salem. So I grew up in Salem. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. So writing about witches should never be a surprise when you grew up in Salem. So I grew up in Salem, Massachusetts. So those formative years were definitely, I joined the military. So I had an opportunity to truly see the country and kind of just, I described myself as a citizen of the world. Like I love meeting new people. I love cultures. I love the differences between, the Northeast and Texas and like, the West Coast, just because there's so much flavor, there's so much excitement in life in the States that people have no idea because we're so different depending where you're connected. It's like having 50 little countries all hanging out under one umbrella. That makes it really exciting. So most people, I'm like, you just have to experience it. Let's just take a trip. It's amazing.
You're so right. I used to moan and groan because my family moved around so much. I mean, people used to ask me, "Is your father in the military?" And he wasn't. He just had happy feet. So he'd get an itch to move, and we would move. And so we lived in all kinds of places in this country. We lived in the Midwest. We lived in Texas. We lived out on the West Coast, and eventually they wound up on the East Coast. But you know, just by virtue of all the family moves, I was able to experience things that a lot of family and friends never got to experience because they stayed in that same quiet town their whole life. And I used to envy them. I envied them the stability. But those experiences play into who you are. And to have the opportunity to taste not just the different foods, because every region has different foods, but also the different
Hmm.
cultures and the personalities, those flavors. And they feed your work when you write because you can draw on those memories and those people and again, give it a little bit of a twist, add this and that, and boom, we have a brand new character. So,
You understand kind of the beauty of being moving around, but I think it takes us as adults to truly understand that is a blessing. Because
true.
growing up, all you
It's
feel like is,
torture!
you just left your friends, and I'm like, and here we are again. Now we're starting all over. So as a young adult, it doesn't sound like fun. None of that is exciting. You're just going, why me? Why is this happening? As an adult, you realize how easy you can make connections because you're used to moving, you're used to meeting new people. And I think you're also used to being the new person. So you're kind of like, it will be okay. I will make it through this. So it's exciting to see it and kind of how well we can adjust to all the changes.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this because we'll compare notes here. Would you have, in all the moves you made, especially at the beginning, would you have considered yourself a shy person who eventually came out of her shell, or were you outgoing from the get go? How was your experience?
So I don't know if I have changed much in the last 40 something years. We moved to the States when I was 10 and a half. It takes me a little longer to truly open up unless I happen to be in a work setting. For some reason, in a work setting, I'm just total like, this needs to get done, move on, and make things happen. But in terms of like meeting new people, I tend to be the one who wants to just sit back and listen and get to know people and then jumped in. Unless everybody does the same, then I feel like we're all like awkwardly looking at each other and be like, okay, one of us needs to talk. So we all can just stand here looking confused. I enjoy definitely just letting people kind of be themselves. So I don't know if I'm shy, but more cautious. I think cautious is the word that I will use for myself. More or less just kind of letting people express themselves and then me kind of jumping in. As an author, I had to switch that around just because I'm like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to talk. Like, people know, I'm like, my bad. You realize I'm like, oh, wait, the rules are rules. Like, on a one-on-one situation, yes. But if I'm doing any kind of event, I'm realizing like, they're here to talk to you. Like, you need to talk. Like, you don't have those opportunities. Settings determine those things for me now. So yes.
I completely get that. And I agree with you. Like in a work setting, and I think it's also one part necessity, but also because you're around them 40 hours a week. You're with them more than you are with family and certainly with friends. So there comes a point where they know you as well as anyone can know you. At least your work personality. They know that side of you at least. Um but yeah, I found I was an extremely shy kid. I was super like, oh my goodness. Every time we moved, I was the kid who would sit in the classroom and burst into tears like, oh, there's new people,
Sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course over years you just kinda like, okay, this is the drill and now I'm over it and you're not gonna see me tearing up, but I'm sure gonna, at least find one person I can talk to and you gradually, you have survival. You have to get out of that shell
Mm-hmm.
just to survive.
Because it's going to happen again. You know you're going to move again, and you need to just kind of like, it will be okay. I can talk to people. It will be okay. So yes, I understand. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you the Cat Lady special is so that's a book series. How many books are in that series?
So right now you have two books in that one. So the Cat Lady series is a Desperate Cat Lady and the Cat Lady special. So you have book one and two, which is interesting because they're not fantasy. Well, most people ask me if the cats are magical. I was like, no, they're just cats. They're just typical cats, as evil as cats can be. So, book one is all about introducing Angela and the Silver Hair Gang, which they're amazingly fun. And then book two, because I'm very ADD with my reading, so my writing's about the same. It's pretty much you going from they're just trying to run an illegal, gun shop, just happens to be that way, and then they have a dead body. So you have a whole insane murder mystery with these poor ladies who is just, Angela's just trying to mind her own business as much as possible. And because I went through a stage that I was obsessed with the blacklist, so then every single one of my characters is obsessed with the blacklist. So they want to be spies themselves. They're like trying to solve the mystery. So let's be honest. We all have those people in our lives and she's like out there. You're like, stop. I need you not to do any of that because you're going to get us in trouble. And that's Angela. Like, she really wants them all to behave. Like, I need you all not to do any of that. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. We're going to go solve this murder. And she's like, no, we're not. No, just stop. So it's all a bunch of having crazy, quirky characters with some insane shenanigans and some plot twists that just makes people go like, oh my God, really? Like, it's fun. It's just literally so much fun. So for people who don't enjoy fantasy, this is the series that I normally send them to. I'm like, but do you enjoy shenanigans? They're like, well, I guess. I'm like, go this way. You will enjoy this. Older ladies having an epiphany. I think when I wrote this book, it probably hit me. I don't think I realized that I was midlife. It never hit me that I was like this character because I wrote it and she's like, oh, and she's middle 40s. And I'm like, I'm thinking this is a very adult book. And then I thought about it, I was like, oh my God, I'm in my mid 40s. What is wrong with me? So it took me a minute to realize. And I was like, oh God, I'm that person. Like, when did I see myself as a, midlife woman having all these issues? So it has become quite funny. And everybody just goes like, you are super quirky. I was like, it explains why my characters are super quirky too. So yes, this is where we're at.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's fiction. We're making it up, but we have to draw it from somewhere. So it draws from the things that happen around us. It draws from things that happen to us or to close friends. There is that little bit of you in every book, regardless of, whether it's fantasy or something else, because that's just how else is it going to be an original work unless it draws on you in some way.
We're pulling for everything we see, and you're so correct, Zoe. You pull from the things that we see, the things that we experience, even the things that inspire us. And the sad or funny part about this book is when I started writing it, it was supposed to be like a love story. Like, I don't tend to write romance. This was supposed to be my romance. And everybody goes like, I think you missed the mark. I was like, there's lots of self-love. It's like, that's not what a romance is. Like, DC, that's not it. I was like, okay. So years later, I just have to laugh. I was like, this is definitely not a romance. And they're like, it's not a romance at all. So we just kind of like, my readers just kind of laugh because I think it's hysterical, like my crazy attempt at a romance. I was like, that did not go well for anybody. I was like, thanks. So now the joke is like, if my people are ever going to have a happy ending, I'm like, they do. They're like, do they? I'm like, kind of, sort of. Like, I feel like I need to come with disclaimers. I'm like, they do. Like, sometimes, maybe here and there, like, I don't know about that. So I laugh. We make the best of it.
Well, I think I enjoy a good romance like anyone, but sometimes romance is overrated. I would rather see real life love than the fantasy romance stuff that's often written. Give me a married couple who maybe ran into a bump in the road, drifted apart, but were still loyal and want to be together, but are having a hard time figuring it out. That, for me, would be a fascinating story. Love that ran into a conflict but found a way through, and they lived to be, married for 50 plus years, till death do us part. That's true romance in my book.
Oh, that's a really good. It's a really good story, especially nowadays with all the drama that we have. I'm like, that would be really awesome. So yes,
Yeah, that's just the way
absolutely.
I think. Probably because
I
it
like
is
it.
so rare
It's
these
fun.
days. Most marriages don't make it past 10, 20 years. Those are the stronger marriages, it seems like, that make it to that. um yeah, I actually do know one couple in my life at this point in time who have been married 50 years. They are amazing. But how sad. I know so many people, but that's the only couple I can think of that's been married that long. So,
That is a very long marriage. That is awesome.
yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do like math in my head. I was like, I don't know if I can do math. I'll start thinking about it. I need to go do some research.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you have plans to do any additional series in the Cat Lady realm, or is it a complete series at this point in time and you're moving on to other subjects?
So Cat Lady has one more book that's in store for that. So that's kind of in the works in terms. I have a title because I adore this title. So my brother was making fun of me because it's like Revenge of the Cat Lady. And he's like, this is not Star Wars. You cannot name this series that. I was like, oh, come on. You know it's perfect. He was like, no. So book 3 is Revenge of the Cat Lady. The premise is quite fun. I can tell you her mother gets kidnapped. So Angela and the Silver Hair Gang have to go on a mission to rescue. So the question is she's going to rescue the kidnappers or her mother? Because we don't know which one's taken over now. So this is kind of that shenanigan. Now it's the goal is to figure out where it's going to take place and how the all the details in it. So that's kind of what's coming up in Angela's world. So I'm excited about that. When is it coming out? I'm not sure. I'm not even going to lie. I don't know when that book's coming out.
I get you.
I am currently working. It's interesting. I have my urban fantasy series. The main series is complete. It's 5 novels with 3 novellas and has a couple of side quests, standalone novels in that world as well. And I have a couple more series that truly have to get finished. So it's like, we need to be finishing some series instead of adding more to my world. So this is where we're at.
It's hard not to when your mind is spinning with idea after idea and you so badly want to write all these books. I was talking to my publicist last night and he's like, slow down, aim for 1 book a year. I'm like, but I want to write 5. He's like, slow down. And he's totally right.
So you completely understand. I think once we start writing is when everything develops and we get more and more into this and you're like, yep, I'm going to write more stuff. So absolutely.
I figure at the very least you can outline it and have it for later because I so fear the idea of losing the ideas or losing, what I've thought of in this moment. So I think I'm still going to be writing and outlining at the very least. But pacing yourself.
That's a good plan. Hard. I have tons of those. I like it. That's a good plan.
It's what I plan to do. I can't speak for everyone, but it seems to be the best idea for this Swiss cheese memory of mine. So
I like it. It's a good plan.
I'm curious, with all these characters with the cats, is there any plan for a cat that has like multiple personalities? Because the humor in me loves that idea.
I think cats by default come with multiple personalities. I think that's who they are. Mm-hmm. So Constantine is the guardian of my intern series. So he is a 5,000-year-old talking cat who can also shapeshift. So I think Constantine might be the closest thing to multiple personalities. I don't know if I can do a book with the main characters just being the cat, just because they're mean. Cats are judgy. Let's be honest. I love me some cats, but cats are judgy.
And sometimes
so the last thing you need is a thank you. We do not need a judgy cat that can judge you from multiple points of view. That just sounds mean for everybody involved. I don't know if I can handle that. At some point in time, you're like, I'm sure you're judging me. So Constantine also does my newsletter. So he has a newsletter that goes out at the end of the month. And I did not realize, because I think as an author, we're writing through these points of views. And we forget how picky this point of view is. So one of my readers was like, you do realize every newsletter, Constantine is yelling at you because you're not writing. And I was like, what? It took me a minute to realize, how is this imaginary cat yelling at me in my own newsletter? And he does. So yeah, I don't know if I can handle a cat completely judging me more than he does on a daily basis. I'm like, that just sounds mean. So I'm going to work on that.
Okay. So is this the only one that's a series? Are all the rest of your books standalone?
No, let me think. Do I have, most of my books are in a series or in a universe. I don't know if I have a lot of standalone. I have a Monday motivation book that is a standalone. For most of them are series focused. I tend to commit to multiple books instead of just standalone. That should be my next master plan. I should do more standalone universe and it just, but hasn't happened yet. So most of my books are definitely connected in some shape, form, or way.
And so then how do you balance these ones that are series, with the timing of a release so to gain your audience? Are you doing one per year, suggested, or Are you writing like your whole story and then like releasing at certain intervals over the course of 1 or 2 years?
I'm going to tell you, when I started out, I probably had a lot more energy. I more information than the world needs to know, but recently been through menopause. So I realized my mind functions very different than before menopause. So the energy that I used to have to write, like I needed to get all these things out as quickly as possible. I am now in the stage of my life that I'm like, if I can do a book a year, I feel like I'm succeeding in life. I was like, we need to celebrate this because it's huge. I normally try to publish, because I was doing multiple series and multiple genres, do about 3 to 4 books a year. So I was trying to do them by quarter. So that way people could finish one, pick up the next, and kind of going from there. We have gone from 4 to 5 to one. I was like, we're going to just celebrate one. Because right now, this is as much as I can process and handle. My goal in the next 3 years is to catch up all the series that are out there that need to be wrapped up. Just because I'm getting ready to start working on other things.
Yeah.
Except that I'm like, don't add any more to your plate. Like, finish what you have before we pick up something else. So that has become like my new master plan. It's like, how do I get all these series back where they need to be before we jump into another one?
This is my little multiple personality critter. This is Orlando. He comes with a sister by the name of Dawn. So they are the dynamic duo
He
here.
is a cutie.
Yep. He loves the camera. He always comes to check out who you're talking to, who's the guest. So I am the cat lady, and he is the cat making the appearance. Okay, Orlando.
He's like, I need to inspect.
Exactly.
He's like, no, mom, I need to inspect. Is this a reliable source? I need to see who you're talking to.
Exactly. But yeah, he almost every single podcast episode, he'll make an appearance, and occasionally he'll trade off with his sister. Sometimes she'll be the one to make the appearance, but yeah, they do like to check out who we're talking to, don't ya? So
he takes his job very seriously.
Oh yes, exactly. So he's standing here watching me and watching you and going, "Okay, I'm here for the rest of the show."
Aww.
So then you have plans to wrap up the current series that you've got going. Then have you mentioned another standalone book that you want to do after this? Have you had time to kind of consider what it is and outline it? And are you comfortable sharing like a tease with us?
Not at this point, just because I have multiple ideas playing. I'm also considering doing a new pen name.
Ooh.
Just because, so my current world has everything from devotionals to children's books to urban fantasy and contemporary humor. So I'm looking to try a little bit more spice. I'm looking to do a little bit more of that genre. And it doesn't quite work when you have children's books. Like, you can't just go so far off the left field that people reading Charlie going, oh my God, what is she writing now? So it's something that I'm considering. And I'm enjoying thinking about the process from a brand new author perspective. Because anytime you have a new pen name, it is a brand new author role. So that has become kind of exciting. But right now I have multiple series. And I say multiple. I have 3 series that needs to be wrapped. So it is 3 series each with at least a book that needs to happen. So I was like, okay, I need to finish what I have in the pipe before I go too crazy. And I'm excited. I haven't been in those universe in a while. So I have to like get immersed back in them and get back in the mindset of what my characters were doing at that time. So it's exciting, and yet it's a little bit nervous, especially because it's been a couple of years since I've been in those universe. So having to do a deep dive into those worlds is like, okay, we can do this. We can go back in here and just wrap up those stories, because it should be really fun. I have a couple of very action-packed adventures that are waiting for big series finales. So it's time to kind of bring them home. So we'll see.
Now, how many years have you been writing, and actually publishing your books?
I have been writing for over 20 years.
My
so I have been a storyteller for most of my life.
You are very seasoned.
I've been a storyteller for most of my life.
Okay.
So I have been published. This is going to be my 9th year published. Definitely been writing for a while. I went to school for film and television. So writing has been something that's been part of my world, some form or shape or others, for most of my adult life. So it's something that is in my veins. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know how else not to be if it's not creative. So these stories have been in my head in some form or shape for a while. So it's kind of exciting to see them in the world and have people read them and enjoy them. So yes, it's been a minute. I take for granted that I've been writing for such a long time. It's like, oh my God, it hasn't been this long? I was like, yes, yes, it has been this long.
That is amazing. I can only aspire to be you someday. that's that's just amazing. That you have that level
You
of creativity. You've had so many books that you've been able to put out doing that, and I've been wondering this whole time if all the books that I'm seeing behind you are ones you've written, or maybe a combination of ones you've written and others that you've enjoyed reading.
So here's the fun part. You have only a few of the ones that I've written here. Most of the books that I have written, for whatever reason, they're displayed in my bedroom. I don't know why. Like nobody else can see them. So these are like legit. Yeah. This is like my books themselves tend to be in my bedroom in terms of the ones I've written. The ones behind me is kind of like my favorite books that I've read. I'm an avid reader. It's kind of the part that has kept me sane. Like we all have a hobby. My hobby is definitely reading, which drives people insane because I still love paperbacks. I love print books. So I transitioned to audiobooks, but it's a whole different process between audiobooks and print. I don't do a lot of ebooks just because I spend so much time online and on the phone that when I want to disengage, I enjoy just paper. It's just something to separate it. But it comes with shelf space. It comes with you needing spaces to put these books because what are you going to do with millions of books? So when TikTok came around, it became kind of fun to have I had a library prior to TikTok, and then they're like, hey, you need a background. And I was like, that library that I have sounds like it's becoming multi-purpose. So that's kind of how that turned out to be my background setting, which happens to be probably my favorite room in my house happens to be my library because it's slash art studio slash getaway space. So yes, this is definitely the space that I enjoy sharing because it's kind of fun.
Absolutely. And you make a good point. I'm still in the process of putting my house together and kind of figuring things out. And I've floated from my living room and now I'm into my office where I do my day job. But I keep meaning to buy bookcases. I have books that are sitting in boxes down in my basement. It's like, yeah, I probably need to like set up a space that's like that with books behind me or posters or some kind of something of
It goes
interest.
it goes back to what do you do and where do you record? Because if not, we're always transitioning from one space to the other. And I find out that, right now my cameras or like my tablets, whatever I'm using just tends to be very stationary in this space. So it has made it a lot easier to be like, oh God, it's, 3 o'clock. I need to go jump into this call without having to do much of rearranging in my life. Something that I feel like spend a lot of time trying to find like the right lighting or the right space. So what did the background look like that I don't want anybody to see? Do I have to clean this table?
Completely get that.
So now, oh yeah, there's an entire process that comes to like all of the things. And I also realized that I thought it was kind of funny because most people like if you have a bookshelf are people trying to see what's behind you, which
To
I
some
realized as an
extent.
avid reader, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's easier to have books because this is a space that I enjoy and just kind of has a combination from, I'm trying to think. I have everything from leadership books to cookbooks to fantasy, motivations, and everything in between. And every once in a while, I was like, might as well throw in a poster of my books in there and just
Yeah.
do some marketing.
Well,
That's just kind of maximize the
absolutely
space.
right.
So
So when
just maximize the
when
space.
you're relaxing, what's your favorite type of book to relax with?
Can I just admit it's really urban
Okay,
fantasy? Like I
nothing wrong with
legit,
that.
I do between love urban fantasy. I also love cozy mysteries,
Hmm.
which is super fun. I enjoy me some of culinary cozy mysteries. Sign me out for that. Every single time we'll get lost in it. And I'm usually the person that's carrying one or two books with me all the time.
Nice.
So most people, especially if I have a lot on my mind, there will be at least two books in my purse somewhere just to help me relax and focus. That's usually my focusing points is books.
Get that. That's where
that has not changed in years.
That's where ebooks come in for me, because carrying a book, there's a chance of leaving it behind or whatever. So I keep a handful of ebooks on my phone. That way, if I'm someplace where I am literally have no choice but to be there and wait, I've got something to read. But I do prefer Audible.
I have finally enjoyed being. Me too. That's usually the thing. If I have to run errands, I always have headphones on, which sounds really simple until people start talking to you and then you realize I should take these headphones on because they think I'm ignoring them. Like legit, I was like, I had no idea. And I'm nearsighted, so it's not like I can see. I'm a horrible combination in public because people's like, I waved at you. You didn't say hi. And then I was like, did I have glasses on? They're like, no. I was like, I didn't see you. They're like, what? I was like, I didn't see you. I was not. I probably was listening to a book, so I was in my head, not paying attention to the outside world. So most people shake their heads and like, that sounds dangerous. I'm like, only if I'm driving. I try to avoid doing all of that driving. So yes.
Exactly. Well, wearing glasses gets old. They're there for a purpose, but if you don't have to have them on, then, I use them myself because I'm nearsighted. So, if I'm someplace where I need to have, the ability to see distant, of course I'm going to wear them. But when I'm at home, no way. Or if I'm out and about and I don't need to wear them, then I'm not going to wear them.
You completely understand because I'm in the same boat. And especially if I'm like reading labels or something, I'm not going to have my glasses on. And something that makes it quite interesting for everybody else who's like, I waved. I'm like, don't wave from across the store and think I'm going to see you. Like, that's just mean. Like, why would you do this to people? I don't do those things. So,
yeah.
I'm like, don't be that person. Like, be half across like the fruit aisle and then wave. I'm like, I should see shadows. Like, there's just that movement, and I don't know if you're talking to me. Why would you do this? So now most people like within the circle realize like you can't see. I was like, I cannot. I don't know why we're pretending. I'm not.
Here's the thing that people don't necessarily know or understand, because I didn't know or understand until I hit about close to 50. Your eyes do this weird thing where they rebel against contact lenses. Like, you used to wear contact lenses, you'd be out and about, you could see, everything was good. And then one day, your eye says, no, you can't wear these anymore. It's just not possible. They get itchy and irritated. And I wore my contact lenses for a good 20, 30 years, no problem. But then one day, my eyes said, nope, no more. Your choices are to wear bifocals or just straight up glasses and then do without. But these are your options. Contact lenses are off the table. Apparently you've not hit that yet.
I've never been able to wear contact lenses because I can't get them in my eyes. Like, I'm like legit, I'm like, oh no. So like, I don't even have that option to begin with. Like, so I'm the person who the concept like putting stuff in my eyeballs. I'm like, oh God, don't touch. So no, I don't even have that option to begin with. I'm just either going to not see or we will have glasses on. So here we are. So yes.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I would have loved to have. Yeah, would have loved to have contacts. It's just not in my future at all.
Yeah, it never would have occurred to me that that level of sensitivity. So you've educated me on that, because I would have thought that that's the normal thing. Normal isn't normal for everyone.
No. Not at all. I'm like, no, that does not sound like fun in any form, shape, or way. No.
So, as a matter of curiosity, and I didn't get to go in depth on your website, but there was a blurb on your website about you being sensitive to light. Now, I don't know if that was pure, kind of fictional, to tie into your book, or if that ties in your real life. Although I'm going, okay, you live in Texas, there's a lot of sunshine down there, so how does that tie together?
Totally real, which has become the joke of my life. I am in the most sunshine state in the country. Maybe California will be the next one. Our summers is 100 degrees all the time. So everybody asks, how do you survive? I have sweaters. I have layers upon layers. I'm the weird kid that looks very gothish because I have the umbrella. Like I have the parasol outside, and people are like, it's not raining. I was like, it's cold. I have
It's
an
shade.
allergy to the sun.
Yeah.
Yes, which makes me break out. I take for granted. So winter's transitions to summer is usually very painful because I forget that, oh, look, sun's back. And had massive rashes on my legs. And I'm like, where does this come from? And I was so shocked with myself when I remember it's like, oh, I was wearing a skirt for the last week. That's what that is. It's called sun. Like that's where we're at. So the fun part about being an author is how do you maximize every experience? I'm a huge believer that everything's a learning lesson. So one of my girlfriends and I decided we were going to redo our bios because we wanted them to be like, my normal bio reads like I'm an accountant. It is the most boring thing on the face of the planet. If anybody reads it, they're like, do you write fantasy or do you just happen to work in a corporation? So it's pretty straightforward and kind of boring. So we wanted to sass it up. So the ending of my bio pretty much says, I can have a vampire
I
condition.
saw that.
And most people that know me, they're like you could be a vampire. Like, you don't come out during the day. You're allergic to the sun. You look like, so this could be a real thing in your life. And I'm like, really? Really? So yes. So it is the ongoing joke that it is very real. And I wear black a lot. I have umbrellas all the time. I'm wearing sweaters. I don't spend a lot of time in the sun. I do tend to be fairly, pale for a brown girl that people tend to laugh about. It was like, I can't go outside. So yes, and I live in Texas, which makes it even more amusing to
Yeah,
people.
and that's what caught my attention because I was thinking you were maybe up, in the Northeast until you mentioned, Texarkana. I'm like, okay, how does that, tie in with this condition? But
Mm-hmm.
we live where we live, and I used to know a lady in Houston that often wore, went outside with her umbrella, and probably for the same reason. I never asked her about it because I was a teenager, and I just apparently didn't care enough to know.
That's the beautiful thing as teenagers is we see things and you're like, well, that's weird, and then you just moved on and don't care. The rest of us are going, why is that crazy girl having an umbrella? And even the people who know me, who know I have a skin condition, I will be outside with an umbrella, like, what are you doing? I was like, it's called the sun. They're like, oh, we forgot you, that weird kid. I'm like, thanks. Make a note of that. So yes,
But
I have parasols. I did get a really cool parasol that has like the sun underneath design because if I figure if I have to carry it, at least I'm going to make it pretty.
yeah,
So yes, I have a whole bunch of those.
absolutely. I mean, why not
Mhm.
with a little flair, But
I have them all. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make it.
it happened later in life for you, right? That's not been your whole life.
It happened in my late
Okay.
30s, which is kind of insane because how do you adjust? I love the beach. Like, I love all. I'm a sun kid. I love all things being outside. And as you get older, you're like, wait, I can't be outside all the time. I do have wear sunscreen tremendously all the time. Like, I have like 60 proof sunscreen that I have to wear in order to still try to contain and not break out in the summers and huge seasons. I'm the crazy kid who watches the weather all the time just so I can plan what I'm going to wear for clothes. Like, what is the weather going to be? What am I supposed to wear? How many layers can I afford today and not actually die? So,
Right,
yes.
with the heat. Well, and then overcast days. I'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you, I got the worst sunburn of my life on the California beach when the sky was overcast because the body doesn't really recognize how much sun it's getting. Is that an issue that you face? Like, oh, look, today's not sunny; it's cloudy, so I'm safe to maybe be out here without my umbrella, because there's no rain, right?
No,
How does that affect you?
it's it's the same. It's the
It's
same. You're still going to get it. So I don't get nearly as much because it's not the direct ray. So it gives you a little bit of protection, but you're still going to get it. So I try to be much more cautious of it, regardless of where I'm at. But I also find in myself that I have to explain this to people because if you're never seen it, like I have sleeves that just kind of come across. So you get, half sleeves on your arms and all things. It tends to kind of worry the world that you have a sweater and it's 100 degrees and they're like, are you going to be okay? Like you're going to pass out. So I carry bottles of water everywhere. That's all the things you're supposed to do. If you have prepping ahead of time before you go out into the world, because hey, it's going to be a thing. And now it's just It makes for really fun stories and also makes you appreciate your characters' little idiosyncrasies and quirks that they have. I was like, I come with a lot. So it's nothing new to add another quirk to my characters because I have them. I'm like, I understand
Which
completely.
does bring it back to being on that personal level. Even though it's fantasy, there's a little bit of you still mixed in because you have that experience with that specific condition, giving you
Hmm.
insight into what that character would be going through. You know, what was it? Art imitating
It
life.
makes it real. I'm usually thinking life needs to stop imitating art because it can get painful. I was like, can we just let it be? Just stand on your own. It will be okay.
Yeah, I get you. So our time is getting away from us, and I do want to get our random question in before we call it a day. So the last question from the previous guest is, how do you stay hopeful when you find yourself in difficult times?
Ooh, that's a hard one. So one of the things that I started doing that was recommended to me by another author was actually to do a accomplishments list. You know how we all have to-do
Yeah.
lists, right? It's all the things that we wish we get done and never happens. I have millions of those. And she said, instead of trying to do, it's almost like a gratitude journal, but instead of trying to do a to-do list, you do a list of all the things you got done that day. So you have something to celebrate because it gives you an idea of like, let's be honest, we have crazy schedules, especially if you're in the writing community. You have so much stuff to do and you can feel like you got nothing done. You feel like I'm falling behind. This list is never going down. It's always that sense of absolute like doom and gloom sometimes. So one of the things that she recommended, which blew my mind, is like make a list at the end of the day of all the things you did, regardless how small or big. You know, I was like, really? He was like, you went to the post office, you know, have mailing to do, or you contacted this person, you wrote that one, outline, whatever that might be. You took the trash out, you did laundry, whatever it is, write it down. So I started doing that and I was impressed how many things you're looking down this list and you're checking off and you're like, that was a really busy day. Like, that was a really productive day. And it gets you outside of your head and outside of that feeling that I have no control, that I have no power. And more or less to realize I'm like, okay. And normally she goes like, aim for doing 3 things. By the time you realize you've done 15, and it's stuff that needed to get done. So it kind of balances that sense of despair with more of accomplishment and like, I got some stuff done.
I really like that because I am forever beating myself up that I intended to do this, and this today, and I only did this. But I like the way that that's flipped, where you're actually counting the accomplishments and maybe
Hmm.
small things that you take for granted that are still things that you've done. I really do like the way you put that.
It really made a difference, especially in the days that I'm feeling like nothing has happened or that I have accomplished nothing that day. I'm having to stop and go back from the beginning. It was like all the things I got done, and you're looking at this list and you're going, it was a really good day because you have to give yourself credit. You know what I mean? When you have a list of 5 to 10 things, regardless of what they are, you're going, I didn't think I was going to get out of bed. Like I brushed my hair, like all these little things that happen that makes me look like a people, that I can people. So celebration becomes so much better, but you also give yourself the grace to say, I'm doing as best as I can and it's okay. So I loved every minute of it. I was like, we're going to try this because it's actually really good.
That is excellent advice. I appreciate you sharing that. So now, have you had a chance to think of a question for the next guest?
So one of my favorite icebreakers that actually happened by accident is I like to ask everybody, if you had a warning label, what would it be? So I normally love to see what's people's reaction, especially for authors, to see how quickly their mind goes into it. So that I would love to hear if they had a warning label. What would that warning label be?
Yeah, that's a really fun question. I look forward to hearing the next person's answer to it. Oh, that is excellent. So before we wrap this
Awesome.
up, do you have anything specific that you would like to share with our audience? This is kind of a free time for you to just whatever comes to your mind.
Oh, first I want to say thank you. I had such a lovely conversation. It's been so much fun. So love the title of the podcast because now it makes sense. I'm like, oh, that makes more sense why it's called that. To the audience, honestly, I would like to just thank them for being here, for being in this space. Honestly, taking a chance on a new author they probably have never heard of and just kind of continue to encourage that. There's so many books out there that need to find a new home. It's like if you have a pet, find them a new home, adopt a new book for that day, give a new author a chance, and just hopefully you find a story that helps you connect and just escape. So grateful for the opportunity.
We're so glad that you joined us. So we're going to close it out. Please be sure to check out the website of DC Gomez. Check out ZoeyMichaels.com because there's new information there as well. Please be sure to like, share about this broadcast, and also please check out Behind the Diagnosis: Famous Lives Untold. We're in episode 7 and counting, so check that out. Thank you for joining us today.
Bye.
Okay, I think it's done recording us. And if not, I'll edit it out. Thank you, DC. It's been a pleasure.
That works. Thank you so much. I had a blast. Have an amazing day.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Goodness, this computer is crazy.